What is up? We're finally all four together. Pass the Rock is back together. We had some three-man teams, some two-man teams, some different three-man teams, but we're back together, and it's time to predict the 2024 NFL season. Join us right now.
Hey, yo, could one of y'all pass the gosh darn rock? Hey, yo, I'm trying, I ain't lying, and hosting this will be Brian. Yeah. Posting like Kobe Bryant, flying to see the pilot. Yeah. Hit the hezzy, we got Jesse, opinions get kinda messy. A fan of out of lefties, from football to racing jeffies. He go silly when he go deep, sheesh, his Zag's beaming. Teaming up with Jack, we stack the whole team, man. Pass the rock, don't stop the shot clock. Ooh. Smack the slap shot, come on, now let's talk. Pass the, yo, partner, pass the rock, for real.
All right, so this is mostly a report for Jack to gain some information, but I want you to know, Jack, that Jesse and Zach and I were together a couple of weeks ago in Detroit, Michigan, and we had a fan, somebody that actually followed our account, saw us live, saw us in person. They didn't want us to argue about sports or anything, but they're out there, and I just wanted you to know.
And they said, who's that guy who always is glazing the Steelers on your show?
What do you mean glazing the Steelers? Glazing the 49ers.
Oh, both.
Both. Awesome. So we're back together. We've gone through our 8 division breakdowns. Now today we make our, I'm going to call them final predictions. What's going to happen 2024 NFL season? I know I'm excited. Zach, you look super excited. I hope that house plant is doing well for you. It looks like it's all right. Maybe put it closer to the window. What do you think?
Gerald is doing just fine. I'll have you know. All right. Yes, he has a name, and you will respect Gerald. Maybe I'll put him a little further back.
I'm not disrespecting him. You are.
I am not disrespecting Gerald. He is doing just fine. Gerald is doing just fine. So don't worry about my houseplant. But I'm super excited to be back with you guys. It's going to be a great show. Looking forward to hearing how wrong all of you are about your picks.
No, I just want Gerald to be around in week 12. Maybe the Eagles will be around too. We'll see. All right, Jesse, much respect to the Stephen Ridley jersey. Maybe they can sign him back and really lock up the number 1 pick next year.
Yeah, hopefully. I think he's the only option we have to go to run the ball outside of Ramondre Stevenson. Stephen Ridley is going to be the guy that takes us to 4-13 this year. So can't wait for a great season. Patriots, it's not looking good. We got rid of all of our good players, but we got a lot of draft capital. And all I'm saying is there better be some real good prospect at the top of the draft next year. That's not some converted offensive lineman who came from like rugby or something. But I think we're past that age of the Belichick era. I think Matt Judon was officially the only good player we had post Bill Belichick era that is now gone. So can't wait. It's going to be a great season.
But how exciting will the draft in 2025 in Green Bay, Wisconsin be when you have the number 1 overall pick?
It's going to be fun, especially now that in Lambeau Stadium you are allowed to smoke in that stadium. It's going to be
true.
It's going to be a crazy experience at the draft, I'm sure. And I'm sure a lot of those fans are going to be Patriots fans wishing that they could just forget what was happening. But it's going to be a good time. I'm sure that we'll send a team out there. You know, Jack loves Wisconsin, so we'll have to get him back out there.
Awesome. All right, let's kick off this show full of predictions with pretty much the biggest prediction you can have. Give me your way too early Super Bowl pick for this year.
Who's first?
Who wants to do it first?
You know what? I'll bite. All right, here we go. My Super Bowl prediction for this year is the Cincinnati Bengals are back and in the Super Bowl against none other than the San Francisco 49ers. I think that they get back again. The Niners are going to look real good. I think Brandon Ayuk's going to stay after all the rumblings that's happened. It seems like he actually might stay. Bengals, Niners. And I'm not going to say which direction I'm leaning, but I'm leaning in the direction of the Bengals winning it. I think the Niners are just the Niners are the common day Bills that just keep going to Super Bowls and just keep losing. And I think it's going to continue. Joe Burrow gets his first. Bengals winning the Super Bowl.
Nice. All right, over to you, Jack.
All right. Well, I'll start with my pick to come out of the NFC. Actually, no, I'll start with the AFC because it's straightforward. It's the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are headed for a three-peat. This team got better last year. Last year was supposed to be a down year, and they won the Super Bowl in their down year. So this team is just too disgusting. You have Patrick Mahomes. The offense has improved. They're going back to the Super Bowl. But the team that I have them facing is the Detroit Lions. I think the Lions are going to come out of the NFC. I think this is the year. They've had an incredible progression. 2 years ago, they made the jump to being a real team. Last year, they made the jump to being a playoff team, a competitive team. And this year, they're going to make the jump to being a Super Bowl team. And I think I would lean the Chiefs if you had me pick today. I think they're going to go for the three-peat. But I think the Lions are going to be a super legitimate team this year, and they're going to be the best team in the NFC.
All right. What do you have for us, Zach?
All right. So, Jack, I like your thinking. I feel like, while the Chiefs are the favorite, there's a reason they are. Three-peat, most likely situation. But I wanted to get a little more interesting. I'm picking a Bird Bowl to happen. We're going to get Eagles, Ravens in the Super Bowl. 2 bird teams in the Super Bowl, the ultimate bird fest. Of course, I'm leaning towards my birds, but honestly, that's a Super Bowl that I think would be a really fun watch regardless. You have 2 mobile quarterbacks. You have 2 dynamic offenses. I think that'd be a really fun game to watch, which is another reason why I'm picking it. So, Bird Bowl, mark it down.
All right. So we will have 4 different Super Bowls here. So I feel like Jesse and I are going to agree on a lot of stuff when it comes to these longer term picks. I also have the Bengals out of the AFC. I think they are the 1 seed, and I think they beat Mahomes and the Chiefs at home, when they're at home in the AFC Championship to represent the AFC. And I think they play the Lions, who are going to be the 5 seed. They're actually not going to win their division. The Lions can't have nice, pretty things, okay? Those fans have been through too much. They're going to have to come out of the wild card game, upset a division winner, and maybe that's not that big of an upset if you consider the NFC South, but make their way to the NFC Championship game, beat the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, go to the Super Bowl, and then get hosed by Joe Burrow and the Bengals. I think it's a big shellacking. I think the Bengals win big, and I'm excited to pick them as my Super Bowl champion this year. Any rebuttals?
I love the word shellacking that you use, by the way. And I just want to give a shout out to Chance in the chat saying the Texans are making the Super Bowl. I don't think that they're trash, and I don't think that that's out of the realm of possibility. If they can get a full, healthy season under their belt, I mean, they made the divisional last year and lost to the Ravens, who were the number 1 team in the AFC. So I think overall, if they can get back and if they win their division, they'll probably be, I would say, the 3rd or 4th seed. I still think the top 2 belong to the Ravens and the Chiefs. But if they can get the 3rd or 4th seed and play a weaker 6th seed team, get into the next round, and then, it's anyone's game from there. So I do not hate their chances whatsoever. I think that they're just getting better.
I think the Texans are the 3 seed. I agree with you. I think they win the AFC South, but they're behind the Bengals and the Chiefs. And then in the divisional round, they're going to have to go to Kansas City, and that's where their season ends.
Yeah, I mean, I have them at 3 as well. I think they're a really legit team. My only problem with them is that the AFC is so stacked, and they're probably going to end up in the first round against a pretty experienced team. I mean, the chances of them ending up playing like the Browns or the Ravens or something like that, one of those more veteran teams in the first round, is pretty high. And to me, that's a really scary situation for a young team. But I do think they're really good.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we all have them as a top 3 seed. I don't think any of us are straying from that. I'm really excited for the Texans. I just think the reason that we're not picking them to be in the Super Bowl is that it's like they're a year or so out from like being in that true contenders territory. We need to see like a year of this offense function together. I'm super excited about it. I'm sure we're going to bring it up later in the show, but Texans are going to be a really fun watch this year.
Yeah, and those new uniforms look so much better in person or on TV than they did in social media. I don't know why that's true. I didn't like it when they first came out, but I liked what I saw last week. All right, who is your 2024 NFL MVP? And Jack, you cannot pick Patrick Mahomes.
As much as I would love to, I know. No, my pick is Joe Burrow, which I feel like might be stealing some of your guys' picks, but he's coming off another injury. But I just think Joe Burrow is such an incredible quarterback. I think the Bengals are going to have a great season. They are my pick to win the AFC North. And yeah, I just think Burrow's gonna have a really good season. He's got all those guys in there. This might be the last dance with both Chase and T. Higgins on the field with him. But yeah, I think this is gonna be a big year for Joe Burrow and the Bengals. He's my MVP.
All right, Zach. Sorry.
I know I just mentioned that, we would be talking about the Texans a little bit later in the show. That time is already now. My MVP pick is CJ Stroud. I'm going big. I'm going bold. I think with this offense, he has a real opportunity to shine. I don't think Mahomes wins it regardless because of voter fatigue. I don't think Lamar's going to win it because of voter fatigue. I don't think Burrow's going to have as good of a season as Stroud potentially could. Bit of a bold statement there, but I like CJ Stroud. I love this Texans offense. I love what we're going to be able to see out of them. Really excited to be proven right at the end of the season.
All right, Jesse.
Yeah, I mean, Jack kind of did steal the answer out of my mouth. My pick for MVP is still Joe Burrow. I think that he's going to have a phenomenal season, and he could honestly win Comeback Player of the Year again for the second time and NFL MVP. But if I wasn't going to say Joe Burrow, I'm giving Jordan Love a shout because I think the Packers are actually going to win the North, and I think that if they do so and get a commanding lead at the top of the conference with like the Eagles and Niners hanging right there, there's no reason he couldn't. And honestly, he was playing like an MVP in the back nine of last season. So I think overall, Jordan Love has as good of a shot as anybody in the NFC to win it. Right now, the top four in the odds are all in the AFC. You have Mahomes, Stroud, Burrow, and Josh Allen. And Jordan Love is at the top of the NFC. So I'm just saying, could be Jordan Love. And that way the Packers get another MVP quarterback. They did it again. They can't keep getting away with it, but somehow they are.
Yeah. So my problem with Love and with Stroud is just they're just a little too young. I think even with a great year, there's going to be somebody more experienced that equals them and is just on a better path for the MVP. My number one pick is Joe Burrow. I just think that this Bengals offense is going to explode, assuming Chase doesn't, continue to hold out or whatever he's doing at camp. And the sky's the limit for this team, as I've already said. My number two pick is going to be wild. It's going to be a little bit out there, but I think Jared Goff has a chance to have a huge year as Detroit continues to kind of escalate what that team's capable of. If it's not going to be Aiden Hutchinson because he ends up with like 18 sacks or something ridiculous, I think Jared Goff has a chance for the Lions, especially if they end up in the Super Bowl like I predicted.
I just want to say one other thing about the MVPs. So the last several MVPs, it's just been Lamar, Mahomes, Rodgers, Lamar, Mahomes, basically since 2018. 2018, Mahomes won it in his first year as a starter. 2019, Lamar Jackson won it in his first year as a full starter. So Jordan Love, this could be a good year, his second year, and CJ Stroud, his second year. It's happened. And I know that that's not the regular case. It's more the exception, sure. But we've had some younger MVPs in the last couple of years, and I don't see why if the Texans go like 12-5, why he couldn't win it. And same with Jordan Love. I think that age, like it's been Rodgers and Brady, and then a lot of young guys winning it. So never know.
Yep. All right, let's move on to Offensive Player of the Year. So what is your prediction for the Offensive Player of the Year in the NFL? Going with Zach.
Do you want to do offensive and defensive together?
Sure. Who are your picks for the offensive and defensive players of the year in the NFL in 2024? Zach.
Yeah, my offensive player of the year, probably a boring pick overall, but can't deny the talents of Tyreek Hill. He's my pick for offensive player of the year. I think he's going to have another phenomenal season with Tua as his quarterback. He's going to be the heart and soul of that Dolphins offense. I would be shocked if he didn't win it. And then for defensive player of the year, we're getting the anchor of probably a top 3 defense in the NFL. I'm going with Myles Garrett here to be defensive player of the year. I think he's won it before. He's primed to win it. To me, he's going to be the next Aaron Donald type of player. Like he's going to have that type of resume when all's said and done. He's already fantastic. He's going to have another phenomenal season with the Browns defense. It's going to be absolutely dominant this year. Give me Myles Garrett for defensive player of the year.
All right. You're not worried about some of those Tyreek Hill getting cooked at his own camps videos that have come out?
I am not worried about them, and I'm still going to defend the take that Hill would beat Noah Lyles in a 40-yard dash.
No way. All right, Jack, over to you.
All right. My offensive player of the year is actually the same guy that I picked to win offensive player of the year preseason last year. And it's going to be for a very similar reason. My pick is Garrett Wilson. And we're hitting the reset button on what happened last year. I said last year, the guy is a stud. All he needs is consistent, solid quarterback play, and he'll be amazing. Last season, he had over 1,000 yards, and I think he had like 10 touchdowns with Zach Wilson throwing him the ball. This year, all we need is Aaron Rodgers to be average, and Garrett Wilson is going to play like a top 3 receiver in the league. I think he's going to be unbelievable this year. Garrett Wilson, offensive player of the year. I'm all aboard that hype train. And then my defensive player of the year is a guy that arguably should have won it last year. And I think we'll have another fantastic season. It's Max Crosby. Dude is a stud, absolute animal coming off the edge. And I think he's only getting better, and I think he's going to win defensive player of the year this year.
Man, Jack just loves taking my picks for everything, but it's okay. My offensive player of the year is a guy who's currently holding out, and it's CeeDee Lamb. I think that the Cowboys are going to get this deal done, and he is going to get 200 targets next season. Like, he might catch 100. He might break Michael Thomas's record for receptions in a season. Like, seriously, the Cowboys have nothing else going on. It's Brandon Cooks, and then Michael Gallup retired, and then like Kevontae Turpin. So obviously Jake Ferguson's there too, but I think CeeDee Lamb has a great shot to win it. He's currently the 3rd favorite to win it, but I just think that he's going to get this deal done with the Cowboys. The Cowboys and him both know that this season's going to be a disaster if they don't get a deal done, and I just think there's no way that he doesn't play, and he's going to get as many targets as he can physically handle. So CeeDee's my offensive player of the year. Defensive, it gets a little trickier, but my pick for defensive player of the year is TJ Watt. And I think that he should have honestly won it more times than he has in his career. He won it in 2021. He had a good case for it last year too. But overall, I think TJ Watt is a guy who's going to show the voters why he deserves to win it. And I think he's the heart and soul of that Steelers defense, and he can just do it all. I mean, he had how many sacks did he have last year? It was insane. He had 19 sacks last year. And, when he had 22 and a half in 2021, he won it. He had 19 last year, which is just absurd. I think if he can get close to that number again, plus the amount of TFLs he gets, forced fumbles, everything he does is just phenomenal. I think TJ Watt is my pick for DPOY.
Awesome. So, Jack, make sure you're sitting down for my offensive player of the year pick. It's no one has picked this person yet. I can't believe I'm picking this person, but it's Bijan Robinson.
Hey.
So,
wow.
I just think that if this Falcons offense is going to work, it's not going to work because of the passing game. It's going to have to work because of the running game. And if they decide they want to be a legitimate team, which it seems over the past 2 days with the 2 defensive signings or trade and signing that they've had, that they want to be a legitimate team, they have to pound the ball with Bijan Robinson. And if they do, they will be very successful. Now, I would love to be wrong. I'm not a Falcon fan at all. I really hate that team, but I think that's their path to being a good team-centered, success. And he could have 1,500 yards rushing and another 600 or 700 receiving if they choose to use him. All right. Secondly, as defensive player of the year, I'm going with Sauce Gardner. While I don't agree that with Jack's pick for offensive player of the year, I do think that this entire Jets team is going to be so much more motivated compared to how depressing last season was. And we met Sauce Gardner in the Indianapolis airport at the All-Star game. So I saw the man in the flesh, and I just think he's got what it takes to be Darrelle Revis version 2 for the Jets. And maybe there's going to be a Gardner Island by the end of the year. All right, let's move on to who is your pick for offensive rookie of the year and defensive rookie of the year in 2024? Starting with you, Jesse, so that Jack can't steal your picks.
All right. I feel like it's really likely that it'll be a quarterback, but it's hard. I know what? I'm going to say Marvin Harrison Jr. wins the offensive rookie of the year. I think that he's going to get as many targets as he can physically handle in Arizona, and he could have a rookie record season. I know that Puka just set the record last year. Now he has a benchmark for what he needs to go out there and do. So I think that Harrison easily could eclipse 1,500 yards, double-digit touchdowns, and just absolutely ball out in that Arizona offense and take home Offensive Rookie of the Year awards. Defensive Rookie of the Year, it gets a little more clogged because we did not have a defensive rookie drafted in the first half of the first round. All right, defensive rookie of the year. I'm going with the favorite right now, and that's Dallas Turner. He looked good in his preseason debut, and overall, I think he's just got a great shot to win it. And he was the highest drafted rookie on defense, so I'll give it to Dallas Turner.
All right, Zach.
Yeah, I'm gonna start. Actually with my defensive player because Jesse stole mine. So I'm just gonna say it right now. I'm right there with Jesse on Dallas Turner. I think he'll end up being defensive player of the year. He's done pretty well in preseason. I think he's only going to keep improving throughout the season. And on a Vikings team that's going to get a lot less attention because of the quarterback situation, Dallas Turner could really stick out and he could really shine. For offensive rookie of the year, I'm going with the basic pick, but I think it's because he's going to lead the Bears to a winning season overall. I'm going to go with Caleb Williams as my offensive rookie of the year. Look, it's the chalk pick. It's the easy pick. But I think if he can live up to even some of the hype and lead the Bears back to relevancy, I think he's going to lock up that offensive rookie of the year award.
Yep.
All right, Jack. Some sanity.
Yeah, well, I'll go with offensive rookie of the year first. My pick is Marvin Harrison Jr. I think the quarterbacks, there's a good chance that one of the quarterbacks has a fantastic season and runs away with this award. But to me, picking the right guy there might be a bit of a crapshoot. I think there's a bunch of guys that could be really good between Caleb, between Jayden Daniels, between even Bo Nix, who looked awesome in his preseason debut, and I think is very pro ready. There is a few options there. One guy that I know is going to have a good year is Marvin Harrison. I know this guy's going to be solid. I know he's going to be exactly the guy that he was drafted to be, and he's going to get a lot of targets down there in Arizona. So Marvin Harrison's a pretty easy pick on the offensive side for me. And then for defensive player of the year, I'm going to go with Laiatu Latu for the Colts. I think he is Dallas. He's not quite the athletic freak that Dallas Turner is, but he's a lot more technically sound. He has put up the best pass rush production in college football for the last 2 years in a row at UCLA. And I don't see any reason why his game shouldn't translate to the next level. Dallas Turner might be better down the road as the higher upside prospect, but I think coming in year one, Laiatu Latu is going to be an absolute beast.
I'm glad you said that because that's my defensive player of the year as well. I just think playing 6 games against the stoic quarterbacks in the AFC South is going to help him as well. Trevor Lawrence and CJ Stroud aren't running away from you. So I feel pretty good about that pick. I like Latu as well, defensive rookie of the year. My offensive rookie of the year, I'm going with Jayden Daniels. I think he has a chance to have 1,000 yards rushing and 3,500 yards passing with this Commanders offense, which is not super impressive, but I think he can unlock a few of those weapons that have been stagnant the last couple of years, including Terry McLaurin. And I feel pretty good about his chances of doing that. He's going to be running for his life, which is why he gets to 1,000 yards rushing. And I think he shows that, he's the next kind of prototype Lamar Jackson type quarterback. And he's the only one that's going to have to, I think Caleb Williams is going to have a good year and they may end up being just over 500. I don't think the Commanders will be close to 500, but they won't be fourth in their division. Thankfully, the Giants are in that division, and they'll be competitive enough. And look, he did it last year with LSU, not having a defense at all, and was able to run up the offensive stats all the way to the Heisman Trophy. So give me Jayden Daniels. All right, let's go to next. We're going to rank each conference. So give me your AFC playoff picture 1 through 7, starting with you, Zach.
All right, so starting from the top, I think it's pretty obvious having the Chiefs as the top seed. They're my number 1. Bengals at number 2. Texans going to be at number 3. And then the Bills at number 4. There's your division winners right there. Then your wild cards at 5th, I have the Baltimore Ravens. 6th, I have the Miami Dolphins. And 7th, I have the New York Jets. Assuming that Aaron Rodgers stays healthy throughout this entire season, I think they can get that 7th seed.
Interesting. Jack.
All right. Well, my top 3 is the same as Zach. So that is not going to get interesting. We'll get a little more interest down the board. But I've got the Chiefs number 1. I've got the Bengals number 2. And I have the Texans number 3. I think those are the 3 best teams in the AFC, the 3 best teams of those 3 divisions. My number 4 seed is the New York Jets. I'm on the hype train again. I don't know. I might be delusional, but I think that their defense is going to be top 5 in the league. I think all they need from Aaron Rodgers is to stay healthy and to give them average quarterback play. And if that's the case, they have a solid offensive line. They have a dynamic running back in Breece Hall, a great receiving duo in Garrett Wilson and Mike Williams. To me, there's no reason this team can't be a really solid competitive team this year. They're my 4 seed. I think they win the AFC East. 5 seed, I've got the Baltimore Ravens. 6, I actually have the Cleveland Browns. I think that defense is way too good for them to not be a playoff team and be a scary playoff team. And then my 7 seed is the Miami Dolphins. I think they make it in there.
Well, the good news about your Jets pick is that Aaron Rodgers did exactly what you're asking of him last year for 3 whole plays.
4.
Oh, was it 4? Sorry, I forgot about that initial first down.
It was the 4th play that he tore his ACL on. So,
well, he did it in 3 as well. Then, so
there you go.
All right, over to you, Jesse.
Okay, well, now that Joe Biden's done giving his senile pick of the week, we're going to go now over to the actual AFC predictions. So we got number 1 is the Chiefs. Number 2 is the Ravens. Number 3 is the Dolphins. And number 4 is the Texans. Those are my division winners. Number 5 is the Bengals, right behind the Ravens. And I think the Bengals are winning the bowl as a wild card seed. So they're number 5. I'm putting the Bills at 6 because I think no matter what, if they have Josh Allen, he's still good enough to get it done. And then I'm actually going to put the Jets at 7. I think that the Jets have a shot to be really good if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy the whole year. That defense was actually unreal last season. Like, they allowed like the fewest points per game, yards per play, everything. Absolutely smothering defense. It's only going to get better. And I think that defense wins championships. It also gets you into the playoffs. But I think that no matter what, with Aaron Rodgers at the helm, if he can play at least 15 games next season, there's no reason that they shouldn't win at least 10 of them. So I think that the Jets do sneak into number 7, and yeah, nobody else makes it.
Awesome. Just I want to pay attention to the chat here. Jesse, I'm going to put this question to you. Can you predict which states vote which way in November? So maybe a later show. Maybe we do it election night. We call states.
I do think I could, for the most part.
We could get Jack. We could get Jack at a polling place in Wisconsin, which is going to be a huge state.
Yeah.
So, anyway, all right. Let me tell you the answers to the test. You all tried really hard. You did a good job for the most part. Your weakness is having the Jets involved at all. Number 1, the Bengals. I toyed with making them the 5 seed like Jesse did, but I decided in the end the Bengals are the 1 seed, the Chiefs are the 2 seed, Texans are the 3 seed, the Dolphins are winning the AFC East, so they're the 4 seed. Then you go to, I think there's going to be 2 additional teams from the NFC North that make the playoffs, and no, neither of them play in Pittsburgh. Number 5, the Ravens. Number 6 are the Browns. I agree. The Browns defense are going to force the hand of Deshaun Watson. You cannot lose this for us. We're going to make the playoffs. And number 7 is the Bills. I agree. It's Josh Allen's going to get them there. So that means that I don't have the Jets in it, and that's okay. It's going to be okay. Y'all are making these predictions based on if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy. A man that's 64 that tears his Achilles, that's a problem. Okay, it's going to be a problem for him. It's going to be a problem for Big Kirko in Atlanta. The difference is Atlanta has a legitimate backup in Michael Penix, which we'll talk about later. All right, let's move over to the NFC. Give me your playoff rankings for the NFC in 2024. This time I'm going to start with you, Jack.
All right. The number 1 seed in the NFC is still the San Francisco 49ers. They're the best team in the conference. I think they get the 1 seed. My 2 seed is the Detroit Lions. I picked them to make the Super Bowl out of the NFC. I think they're going to have a great season. They are the 2 seed. Number 3, the Philadelphia Eagles, still a really solid team, still the best team in the NFC East. No argument there. Number 4, the Atlanta Falcons, the best of the worst, but maybe not necessarily. I think they might actually be a really good team this year. They brought in Matt Judon, Jesse Bates, Jesse Bates. What am I saying? Matt Judon and Justin Simmons in the last 2 days to make that defense really look good, and that offense has some explosive talent on it. I think they're actually going to be a solid team this year. They're the 4 seed. Number 5, let me get the Los Angeles Rams, a team that did a lot better than expectations last year. And I still think they're really good. I think Matt Stafford had a fantastic season last year. Of course, he's getting up there in age, but as long as he's on the field, this is a dynamic offense, and they are too good to let this team be lower than that. So I think they are going to be the 5 seed. Number 6, the Green Bay Packers. Had a breakout season last year from Jordan Love. I think that continues. They are a really competitive team. They're the 6th seed. And at number 7, barely sneaking in, I have the Dallas Cowboys, just because I think their defense is too good, but I think their offense might show some warts this year, and that will hold them back.
All right. Over to you, Jesse.
All right, NFC 1 through 7, here we go. Niners, number 1. Eagles, number 2. Packers, number 3, winning the North. Falcons, number 4, winning the South. The Lions, right behind the Packers at the 5th seed. Cowboys, 6th. And then at the 7th seed, I have the Los Angeles Rams making it in there. I was debating between the Rams or the Bears, but I think the Bears are going to need a year to put it all together. I do think that the Bears will have a winning record of 9-8, but I think that they narrowly missed the playoffs with that record in the NFC. So the Bears will be right there, but I think the Rams, I was super impressed with them last year. I actually had the Rams winning like 6 games last year, and they definitely proved me wrong and made the playoffs. So I think that they're going to be right back. Again, Kyron had a great season. Puka had a great season. Cooper Kupp is fully healthy again. And kind of same with the Jets. If Matt Stafford can stay healthy the whole year, just like Aaron Rodgers, I see no reason why the Rams shouldn't be right in the mix.
All right, Zach.
All right, so I'm going to go 1 is going to be the San Francisco 49ers. 2 is going to be the Green Bay Packers. I also agree they're going to win the North. 3 is going to be my Philadelphia Eagles. 4, we have the Atlanta Falcons. Like was mentioned, pretty much the best of the worst. I don't even know if they're going to have a winning record, but they're going to win that division. 5, I have the Detroit Lions. 6, I have the Los Angeles Rams. And 7, they're going to find a way to make it in. It's the Dallas Cowboys.
Cool. I hear what you guys are saying about the Rams, but I just think they needed superstar seasons from 2 rookies last year to make it where they did. And I just think they're prime for a little bit of a step back, which you'll see in my rankings. Number 1, the Philadelphia Eagles surging back. I think this Ayuk thing is a problem for the 49ers. Whether he ends up staying or he ends up going, I think it's a problem for them to deal with this kind of issue in the offseason that they haven't had to deal with in a while. Number 2 is the 49ers, though. I think they're good enough, and I think their division is weak enough for them to build up some wins and get the number 2 seed. Number 3 is the Packers. I agree with Jesse. I think they just narrowly edge out the Lions for that division, end up the 3 seed. Number 4 is the Falcons. I don't need to say anything else positive about them. Number 5 is the Lions. I think they're the best wild card team. And like I said earlier, I think they make the Super Bowl from that spot. Kind of like when Jesse picked the Bengals to get to the Super Bowl from the wild card spot. The Cowboys are 6 and the Buccaneers are 7th. You heard it here first. I think the NFC South is better than we're giving them credit for. I don't think the Saints or the Panthers are going to be, the Panthers especially are not going to be in any sort of discussions of anything. But I think the Bucs have an easy enough schedule based on playing in the South to eke out that 7th seed over the Rams, over the Bears. Now, you made 1 through 7. That's the easy one. Who is the 8th seed in the AFC and in the NFC for you in 2024? So who's that team that comes close but just doesn't get it done, Zach?
I'll start in the AFC. You guys all put this team in the playoffs. I think the offense is just going to find a way to hold them back just enough. I think the Browns are going to narrowly miss the playoffs. They're going to be that 8th seed in the AFC. I'm just not confident in this offense. I'm not confident whatsoever in Deshaun Watson. They just missed out for me. Like I have them over 500. I have them over 500. They just didn't make it for me. They were the first team out. And then for the NFC, a bit more of a positive angle here. I have the Chicago Bears ending up as that 8th seed. I think it's going to be a really good first year for Caleb Williams with that core. I think, they're not going to make the playoffs, but they're going to be right there knocking on the door. And, second year for Caleb Williams, that could be the year that they sneak in as a 6-7 seed. So the Bears feeling more positive. The Browns, not really feeling confident about Deshaun Watson.
I like it. All right, I'll go next. My first team out as the 8th seed in the AFC is going to be the Indianapolis Colts. I think that they are a very solid team that'll be right around 500. I do not have them in my playoff picture this year, but if all things go to plan, this should be a competitive team. I think that they're the second best team actually in the South this season. They might overtake the Jaguars this year. So I think the Colts should be right there. Jonathan Taylor, ready. He's signed. He has his contract. No more missing the first 4 games of the season. Michael Pittman, A.D. Mitchell. This is a fun offense with Anthony Richardson leading them, but I just don't think that they have it this year, but we'll see going forward. And then in the NFC, same as Zach, I think it's the Bears. I think that they're right there. It's going to take a year to put it together. This is a completely different team than last year, but I still think it's just not going to be enough to get them in, but I think they will be the 8th seed. And then next year, I think you can bet that they'll make the playoffs.
All right. I will start in the NFC because I have the same pick that you guys do. I also have the Chicago Bears as my first team out of the 8th seed, and I think they're going to knock on the door of the playoffs. I think they're going to be a competitive team all year long. I think Caleb Williams has a great rookie year. His weapons around him are unbelievable, arguably the best that a rookie quarterback has ever had. And I think that the Bears are going to be a really competitive team this year. So they're my 8th seed, definitely a positive outlook on them. My 8th seed in the AFC, I think, is a very interesting pick. It's the Buffalo Bills. I don't have them making the playoffs. I think they're the first team out. And I think that the reason that they're the first team out is because of Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen makes this team good enough to be competitive for a playoff spot in a really, really good AFC where there's a lot of good teams that are going to be competing for that 7 seed. The only reason why I don't have them in is I just think their weapons are awful. They might have the worst set of receiving and running options in the entire National Football League. And the only reason they should be remotely competitive is because they have Josh Allen at quarterback. So I think the AFC is too competitive for a team with that glaring of a weakness to make the playoffs. But I do think Josh Allen is good enough to keep them in the hunt. So they're my first team out.
All right, I'll do the NFC quickly. Mine was also the Bears, but as a second pick, you've already said what you need to say about the Bears. Let me just throw the Cardinals out there as a sneaky potential 8 seed. I'm not a huge fan of Kyler Murray, but you can't argue with the weapons they have on offense. And I don't believe in the Rams. I think they're ready, to kind of take a back seat in that division, not 4th place. I think the Seahawks are going to be in 4th place, but I do like the Cardinals potentially jumping up and being part of that 8 seed discussion in the NFC. In the AFC, I think it's the Jets. And there's 2 words that explain why I think it's the Jets: Tyrod Taylor. Because at some point during this season, Aaron Rodgers is going to get injured. And I think Tyrod is such an upgrade in their backup quarterback room compared to last year that he can get with that defense and with those weapons on offense, he can get them to be in the discussion for the 8 seed. I don't think they make the playoffs because their quarterback's too old, but they do have a chance at the 8 seed. So Tyrod Taylor, write it down, Jack. All right, let's move over to some fantasy football. It's getting to be that time. I know I have my first draft this Saturday. Pretty excited about that. I know we're going to be planning our, draft stream extravaganza coming up in a few weeks for the 4 of us and some of our other colleagues at Lost Tribe to be picking our team. So let's talk a little fantasy football. So let's start with name one player you're not leaving your fantasy football draft without in 2024. Jesse, let's start with you.
I was hoping you weren't going to start with me, but it's okay. Here's a good one. All right. I'm not leaving my fantasy draft without Devon Achane this year. I don't care that Miami is crowded. I don't care that there's like 4 running backs in that system and they're all going to get playing time. In fantasy football, you play for ceiling. You play for boom or bust. And I don't think that there's anybody with a higher week-to-week ceiling, maybe other than Tyreek Hill, than Devon Achane. I think he's a guy who is a week winner. He's not necessarily going to be a weak loser. I think even at his floor, it's probably like 8 to 10 points. But he literally had 200 yards and 4 touchdowns in a game last year as a rookie. We barely got a taste of Devon Achane last year. And I know he probably has a very high ADP, depending on the league you're in. But right now, he's being drafted as the RB10. All it takes for him is like 2 big games to vault himself into the top 5 for running back. So honestly, I think Devon Achane, by the end of the season, will definitely be in the top 10 in total points for running backs. It might not come week to week, like 15, 20 every single week, but he's going to have a few of those games. Miami's just such a potent offense, so he's going to have 200 scrimmage yards and 4 touchdowns, just like he did last year. So Devon Achane, I ain't leaving without him.
Nice. I like it. Over to you, Zach.
Yeah, I kind of went a different angle about a player that I'm not leaving my fantasy draft without. And that's a true solidified running back 1. I feel like every year, if you don't draft a running back in the first round at this point, you're just instantly screwed at the position overall. I feel like I've had such horrible running back play because I would draft wide receiver first round, or last year I drafted Travis Kelce first round. I'm never doing that again. I really think, if you can get your hands on a top 5-6 running back, you are so much better off than waiting just a round or two later. I feel like running back gets thinner and thinner every single season with the amount of elite talent available there. So I am not leaving my fantasy draft without a true solidified RB1 that I am genuinely confident about, because I have not had that in a couple of years.
All right, Jack. Jack, Zach's going to pick a running back, just so you know. Go. You're
really?
Next.
I'm going to go with a guy that I think is a bit of a sleeper, maybe not like an ultra sleeper, but a guy that I'm in love with this year, Hollywood Brown. I think in that Chiefs offense, he is going to be unbelievable. He's going to be probably the number 2 target for Pat Mahomes this year behind Travis Kelce. He's going to be their wide receiver 1. And I can see them using him in a Tyreek Hill role. I'm not saying Hollywood Brown is going to be Tyreek Hill, because there's only one Tyreek Hill. But in that offense, in that role, I think he is due for a massive season, and he's going to outperform his ADP by miles. So I might even be reaching for Hollywood Brown. He is one of my favorite players to draft in fantasy this year. I need that guy on my team.
You do know that he's hurt, right?
Yeah, but he'll be back.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Sorry, did Zach actually pick a player, or did he just say it?
No, he picked it. He
pick a
RB1.
freaking player, bro. Just pick one. Pick one of the top 6. I don't care who it is. You can't just say I'm drafting a running back.
If there's a running back that I want out of the top 6, I mean, honestly, of course, like McCaffrey's like the obvious one. Like, everyone wants McCaffrey. Duh. You know what? For a player that isn't necessarily in like the top 6, like borderline top 6, give me Jahmyr Gibbs. I really want Jahmyr Gibbs in my fantasy drafts this year.
Was that so hard?
Yes.
I was waiting for him to say McCaffrey, and then he gets the 9-hole draft slot, and then he has no chance. All right. I'm going with somebody that's a lot lower down, probably 9th or 10th round, but I definitely want to pick him around earlier to make sure I get him, and it's Romeo Doubs. I'm done with the Christian Watson experiment. I know he's going to be healthy this year and have a chance. But everything you read out of camp is that Romeo Doubs is the number 1 receiver. And I am really excited to take him as like my 4th receiver and just watch him grow with Jordan Love to be a guy that you can't keep on the bench by the end of the season. So Romeo Doubs, my pick. Next, name one player. You want to comment? You can comment.
That's a good pick. I don't know what his ADP currently is. I'm trying to find him. I'm scrolling like 18.
His ranking on his overall ranking on Fantasy Pros is 132.
Holy shit. Pardon my French, but he is currently the wide receiver 54. And 130. So I actually love that. I saw a clip where Jordan Love was building like his perfect offense, and he had like Tyreek Hill here, Travis Kelce there, DeAndre Hopkins here, and his X receiver was Romeo Doubs, because he said that guy catches everything. So I actually really like that.
Well, there's some people that make content that are like, oh, I'm going to take a running back. And there's some people that actually make a stance, pick a player. It doesn't matter if it's in the first round. It could be in the 10th round. You want to circle certain guys and be like, I have them on the team. So, Zach, I'll let you start with this one. I can't wait to see what your answer is. Name one player, despite their rank, that you are staying clear away from in 2024.
I'm not drafting a kicker this year.
I'm not drafting an RB2 because I already have the best.
I have 2 players that I'm pretty much avoiding and letting people just draft as early as they want, and that would be Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Look, I know they're both still very good fantasy options, but Travis Kelce is only getting older. I would say, was honestly a bit disappointing last year, and that's Mahomes' number 1 target as well. I don't see Travis Kelce getting any more fantasy viable. I'm going to look at other options for my tight end. Honestly, tight end, I feel like I get like tight end 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I could probably still have a very solid tight end. And then quarterback, I think it's pretty deep overall. I know Mahomes is ranked as like QB3, and if you don't get one of those like top 5 quarterbacks is kind of like a mid-tier anyways, but Mahomes always gets drafted too early by that one guy in your league who knows nothing about fantasy football. I'm going to let that guy take him. So, yeah, enjoy your Mahomes in the second round.
Awesome. Jesse, over to you.
All right. I think this is a fun question, but oh my God, there's so many ways I can answer this one as well. But I am steering way clear this year of Cooper Kupp. I do not care that he's reportedly fully back. And, people hold him to the one standard of his 2021 season where he had the Triple Crown, he had Super Bowl MVP. I literally do not care if he's there in the 8th round. I'm not taking him. I don't like it. Right now, it's hard to tell who's really going to be the clear number one between him and Puka. There is a world where they are both fantasy wide receiver ones. I just don't think that that's this world. So I'm steering clear of Cooper Kupp.
All right. I sort of had to scramble for a plan B because my plan A was Travis Kelce. But my plan B is going to be Davante Adams. And it's not because I don't think he's good anymore, but the Raiders situation with Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, whoever the starting quarterback is, reports coming out of camp that they're both throwing him hospital balls. I don't know. I don't want anything to do with it. Davante Adams is still a great player, but with that quarterback situation, there's no way he's going to be consistent enough to be a wide receiver one week in and week out, and he is still being drafted in wide receiver one territory. So Davante Adams is just a big no for me this year.
Cool. All right. I am going to go with somebody that I've had the displeasure of having on my team way too many times, and I'm not making that mistake this year. It's Joe Mixon. He always underachieves. He might have one or two big games, but even his ceiling is not that high. And so I'm just tired of dealing with that. I think Stroud, with the number of wide receiver options he's got in Houston this year, they're not going to need to require Joe Mixon to have all the carries. Plus, you still have the backfield mates that were there in the past couple of years. So I am steering clear of Joe Mixon. I don't want anything to do with him. But I agree highly with the Kupp pick and with the Davante Adams pick. I think those guys are players to avoid as well. So last question, then we'll move it over to Jesse. Besides Marvin Harrison Jr., which rookie has to be on your team after your draft this year?
I'll start with this one. Give me Keon Coleman. I actually think he could be the wide receiver number one in Buffalo this season. There's not much competition around him. I believe it's Curtis Samuel, and I can't even name the third receiver on that team. So I think Keon Coleman has a clear shot to be Josh Allen's new favorite number one target on the team. Dalton Kincaid will probably get a lot of looks as well, but he's a tight end. So I think that overall, Keon Coleman should get a ton of volume. He's such an athletic guy who can just go up and get the ball. I think that he's their new Stephon Diggs. And honestly, I think he could be really worth a late round flyer and easily could be the wide receiver 3 or flex option on any contending fantasy team this year.
All right, Jack.
I'm going to apologize to you in advance, Brian, because I feel like I might be stealing your pick here. But my guy is Jaden Daniels. And the reason for that is I believe he can be the type of fantasy quarterback that, even though I'm not the biggest Jaden Daniels guy in real life, I don't think he has the greatest arm in the world. But the way he plays football, he is a scrambling quarterback, and he is an electric scrambler. And we've seen someone like Justin Fields, who has the worst arm I've ever seen in my entire life, but he's got wheels. We've seen him play like a top 5 fantasy quarterback multiple seasons because the dude can run and scores touchdowns on the ground. Same thing with Anthony Richardson in the few games that he played. He while he was healthy, he wasn't having the greatest throwing numbers, but he could run, and he was a top 5 fantasy quarterback when he was on the field. Jaden Daniels is a guy that I'm less concerned about injury-wise and plays that style of football, and not to mention he's got a better arm than Justin Fields. So to me, there's no reason that Jaden Daniels shouldn't be at least a solid fantasy option at quarterback, and he's going to be going somewhat late. If I'm drafting him as my QB2, I love going with that strategy where you draft one quarterback that's solid, you know what you're getting from him, and then you go for an upside swing with your second guy. Jaden Daniels is the perfect second guy to be your upside swing quarterback.
All right, Zach.
Yeah, for me, there's a lot of wide receivers I like from this draft class, and I could go with more obvious ones like Malik Neighbors or Xavier Worthy, who I've sung his praises before. I'm going to go with Ricky Pearsall, and really it depends on if Brandon Ayuk is traded. But if that trade does end up happening, Ricky Pearsall's the next guy up in a San Francisco offense that used Brandon Ayuk quite often. I think Ricky Pearsall could easily hold some fantasy weight. I think he's going to be a great guy to draft late and hold on to. Or, there's a good chance you'll find him on waiver wires too. I think he's going to go under the radar. And then, if Brandon Ayuk is traded, expect Ricky Pearsall to get a lot of buzz around him.
Interesting. I definitely didn't think my pick would make it to me without anyone having picked him. Xavier Worthy plays for the Kansas City Chiefs with the best quarterback on the planet, and he is faster than Superman. I don't know, faster than whatever. I love Xavier Worthy. I cannot wait to draft him late. Of course, after I get Romeo Doubs, although I might have to pick Worthy before because he's just got so much.
I actually think Worthy has a higher ADP than Doubs.
Yeah, I think after I said that, I kind of thought that as well. No, I just love that offense again for the, in the past couple of years hasn't had a, push to top off the defense kind of guy. And now they do. And with Travis Kelce declining, as you have all said very clearly, I think Xavier Worthy can, as long as he can catch the ball, he can be the one. So I'm excited to take him. Over to you, Jess.
All right. So we got a little question here that's going to be of which core you want to build around. So which core do you want to build around in fantasy football? We have Team A, CJ Stroud, Saquon Barkley, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Team B, Lamar Jackson, Devon Achane, and Jamar Chase. Team C, Josh Allen, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Marvin Harrison Jr. Or Team D, Jordan Love, Bijan Robinson, and Justin Jefferson. So these are our four options. Brian, I'm going to you first because you never get to go first.
I never get to go first. So interesting build outs here. I'm going to say a few things that I want to stay away from. I really don't want to be the guy that has to take Justin Jefferson this year. I worry that everything bad that's going on in Minnesota, something's going to, I'm not saying he's going to get injured, but I just think as great of a receiver he is, and as much as it doesn't matter sometimes who the quarterback is, I kind of want somebody else to take him and worry about that headache. So I'm taking him out of it. And then as good as Josh Allen can be, I just worry about his weapons and of him having the Josh Allen QB1 type season. I think he could be QB6 and be disappointing. So with the last two, I think I'm going Lamar, Achane, and Chase, because Achane can blow the top off the defense as well. And I think if, I hate to use the comments that you always use of if he can stay healthy, but if he can stay healthy, he could easily be a RB5 or better. And, Chase and Lamar are steadfast. You know what you're going to get from them, and it's going to be quality. So give me Lamar, Achane, Chase.
All right, Jack, how about you? Any different thoughts?
Yeah, I do have some different thoughts. The first one that I'm ruling out is Group A, mostly because of Saquon. I think Saquon could have a really good year for the Eagles, but I'm afraid of Jalen Hurts poaching touchdowns from him and that really limiting his upside. So I'm ruling out Group A. I also am going to stay away from Group B just because of Achane for me, because of all the weapons in Miami and Raheem Mostert still being in the backfield there. I think Achane has incredible upside, I think he's being drafted a little bit too high for the risk that's involved with taking him. So yes, I fully understand that he could prove me wrong and have an unbelievable season, but I think there's too much risk there. To me, one of these groups has one of my favorite players in all of fantasy football. So that's got to be the way that I lean. I'm going with Group D. I think Jordan Love is due for an unbelievable season. I love his value right now is around the QB 10. I think he could really outperform that. I think he could have a fantastic year, especially as a fantasy quarterback with a guy with some rushing ability. And then I obviously you guys know my feelings on Bijan Robinson. I don't need to go into that. And then at receiver, I'm not quite as concerned about Justin Jefferson as many other people are. I think he's one of those receivers that's good enough to produce no matter who his quarterback is. He still was really solid last year in the games that he played after he came back from his injury. and Kirk Cousins was down. He was still a really solid receiving option. I still think he's going to be at minimum a top 10 guy, making him a wide receiver 1, if not pushing towards the top 5. And I'm okay with that if I've got Jordan Love and Bijan Robinson. So I'm going to take Group D.
All right, Zach, what do you think?
Very interesting. So we got what B and D have already been taken once. So immediately, those are the two that I was actually ruling out from the start. Like mentioned earlier, I think Jack, you mentioned Devon Achane, kind of a bit of a question mark, pretty like high risk, high reward, not looking to take that much of a risk. And then with Group D, Justin Jefferson very much concerns me with his quarterback room right now. I know he could be a receiver that can produce with just about anyone, but we're talking about Sam Darnold at this point, and that's hardly a quarterback. So that leaves me with Group A and C. And the deciding factor here for me really comes down to the running back position. As much as I'm excited to see Saquon Barkley, as much as I'm excited to see how he does behind a stacked Eagles offensive line, I have a little bit more faith in Jahmyr Gibbs in fantasy. So I'm actually taking Group C out of all these groups.
I love it. And that's actually funny. I'm going with Group A. I actually think that it's the most evenly balanced group out of all these. You have Stroud, Barkley, and St. Brown are the QB6, the RB6, and the wide receiver 4. That's where they're being drafted right now. I just think it's the most evenly balanced. I think CJ Stroud is going to be phenomenal this year. I think Saquon will be great. And I actually think that they brought him in to take off the weight of Jalen Hurts on the goal line last year. I think it's going to be a little bit of the opposite. So I think he'll have a great season. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, that dude's hungry. If any of you have watched receiver, he takes like vengeance to another level. And the fact that he was not a Pro Bowl receiver last year, you can bet for sure he's going to be in there this year. So I'm going with Group A. Funny that we each chose a different one, but that's how it goes out. Let us know in the comments which core you would build around. I think these are all pretty even, but let us know what you think. Brian's going to bow out for our last question of the day. So see you, Brian. We can see you, boys. Let the young bucks have some fun. So we're going over to some Madden. So Madden 25 just dropped. We did a similar segment last week on some over-unders, but this time around, we're going to play who is a higher overall in Madden 25. So first question, DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett?
Oh, boy.
Jack.
Look, whenever you play a game like this, you always got to remind yourself, Madden is dumb. Madden is dumb. Madden is dumb. Drill it into your brain. So if I'm thinking Madden is dumb, that would mean Tyler Lockett's a higher overall. But I feel like Jesse might be doing some reverse psychology on us and that DK is still actually the higher overall because he's so much more of a Madden player than Tyler Lockett is. So I'm going to go with DK, even though I'm going against my Madden is dumb philosophy. I'm still going to pick DK.
Look, I agree with you, Jack. Madden is very dumb. But there's a reason that I am not buying this game. There's a reason that I don't plan on buying a Madden anytime in the near future. And that's because I still think that DK Metcalf is rated above Tyler Lockett. And if Jesse proves me otherwise, it's just going to solidify my financial decision.
Guys, this is Madden we're talking about. Of course, Tyler Lockett's a higher overall than DK Metcalf. Lockett is an 88 and Metcalf is an 86.
Oh.
So,
oh my God, this game causes me pain.
But I am going to play a little game here to see if these are they actually stupid or not. So, all right, next question: Gabe Davis or Nico Collins?
There's no way. There's no way Gabe Davis is a higher overall than Nico Collins. Like if Gabe Davis is a higher overall than Nico Collins, I will 100% not be buying this game. That will solidify it. So I'm going to say Nico Collins for the sake of my sanity.
No, I mean, this game's never getting my money, so I might as well be correct. Gabe Davis is probably the higher rated wide receiver, which is ridiculous.
So Gabe Davis is only an 84 overall in Madden. Nico Collins is an 83.
Why is Gabe Davis an 84? Gabe Davis should be like a 72.
And why is Nico Collins an 83? We may never know. So Gabe Davis is higher. Next question. Who's a higher overall? Garrett Wilson or Mike Williams?
Dude.
Two Jets receivers.
Dude, I don't want to be wrong again, but Madden is so stupid. I'm just going to defy it, and I don't care if I don't get a single one right. Garrett Wilson, I'm just taking him because it's I know it's going to be Mike Williams, but it's asinine, so I'm taking Garrett Wilson.
How in the world is this Mike Williams? We have reached a new low with Madden. I swear to God, every single year these ratings get more and more asinine. They become harder and harder to read. I can't believe that Mike Williams is the higher rated player, and that is an absolute travesty.
Yeah, Zach's right. Mike Williams is an 86. Garrett Williams is an 85.
I knew I was going to be
What
wrong.
has Mike Williams done to earn an 86 overall? What has he done?
I refuse to have the words come out of my mouth. I just won't say it. I will be wrong on every pick. I'm done.
Yeah, honestly, Jack, the way that I have this set up, you probably will be wrong on every pick, but we'll see how it goes. Amari Cooper or DJ Moore?
Okay, this one's legit. I'm going to say DJ Moore, but I don't think it's offensive if Amari Cooper's higher.
This is probably the only one on this list where we could probably go either way and not be completely pissed off about it. You said DJ Moore, right, Jack?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go with Amari Cooper. I think he should be rated higher than DJ Moore, but I won't be terribly upset if he isn't.
Yeah, this was actually a toss-up. Amari Cooper is at 90 flat. DJ Moore is an 89. So Amari Cooper is higher. We had this debate on one of our videos recently. Devontae Smith or Terry McLaurin? Who's higher?
If I know Madden, it's Terry McLaurin. 100%.
He was higher than CeeDee Lamb last year.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with Terry McLaurin because if I know Madden, it's Terry McLaurin.
Madden. All right, I'm gonna predict their actual ratings. I'm predicting their ratings, right? Terry McLaurin, 93. Devonta Smith, 91. That's got to be their ratings, and it's so wrong for both of them.
You're not wrong on the order, but you are wrong on the ratings. Terry McLaurin is an 89. Devonta Smith is an 88. So very close, but Terry still takes the edge. And last one, who's a higher overall? Puka Nacua or Zay Flowers?
Oh, boy. Well, we talked about Zay Flowers last week, and I feel like I remember that Zay Flowers was an 83. So if Zay Flowers is an 83, please, for the love of God, tell me Puka Nacua is higher than an 83. Please. I beg you. So I'm going to take Puka, knowing full well that this is going to drive me off the edge.
Puka's going to be an 81, and I'm going to lose my shit. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to say Puka anyways because he should be an 84-85. That sounds appropriate for Puka Nacua.
So Puka is actually above 83. He is an 84, but Zay Flowers is an 85.
What?
What? Zay Flowers and Garrett Wilson are the same rating.
Oh my God, dude. What is this game? I don't like who is making these ratings?
I have no idea.
This is why I exclusively play College Football 25.
Oh.
My Indiana dynasty, we're going to win it all.
Who is making these ratings? Like, seriously. I could do a better job. You could do a better job.
Yeah. I couldn't even tell you.
Like, it's not that hard of a job. It really isn't.
It's really not. That last one actually sent me when I saw it. I was like, there's no freaking way Zay Flowers is above the guy who just set the freaking record for most yards by a rookie compared to Zay Flowers, who had like 900 yards or something last season.
Who, by the way, was also a rookie. We're comparing two rookies, and one was clearly better than the other. Like, what are we doing?
I have no idea what we're doing, but that's all we got for today. Just another reason why you should never buy Madden. Unless it's like half price at Christmas or something. So that's all for today. We appreciate everybody who stuck with us all stream. We'll be back on Monday. And without further ado, definitely don't buy Madden. And I'm definitely going to go play some college football after this. So we'll see you guys next time. Adios.